Orangefield High School is one of my favorite schools on the planet. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. So when I travel around the nation, people ask, like, what is it about those amazing schools that you work with? Like, what's the secret? So I tell them it's great people doing great stuff. And a lot of schools, you know what they try to do? They try to get right into the great stuff, but they forget the great people part. And great stuff doesn't happen without the great people and having a great team. And I think that's why this district and these schools are so good and so successful. It's just great people in place first, doing great stuff. And what I'm trying to do is help other schools see what's going on in amazing places. And so I'm introducing people across the globe to great teachers doing great stuff, and that's you.
All right, sounds good.
Right. I know. All right,
That's great.
so you teach here at Orangefield High School. How long have you been teaching here?
Well, it's a trick question because I taught here for 2 years. I moved to admin for 3, and I'm now on my 3rd year back here.
All right, so total of how many?
7.
All right, cool. And so you were at Orangefield for 7. Prior to that, where were you?
West Sabine High School in Pineland, Texas.
How far is that?
About an hour and a half.
Okay. And before that?
Bridge City.
And
1
before
year.
that?
West Orange.
And before that?
Student teaching.
Okay. So how many years total teaching?
22.
22. A couple of decades. All right. Nice. And so let me get the interesting thing out of the way first, because very few teachers are in the classroom and they go to admin and they come back to the classroom. Usually they go to admin and that's just kind of where they ride it out and into the sunset. But you came back to the classroom. Why is that?
I miss the kids.
Yeah.
I miss the kiddos. Everyone said I'd outgrow it, and I never did. I missed it from the day one, and I'm forever grateful for Dr. Pattison for letting me come back. But yeah, I missed them.
Yeah. That's it's hard.
I miss the energy. I miss the laughter, the silliness,
the little stories. You know what I found today, walking around schools? I have it in my pocket. I found a note.
They're still making notes?
Yeah, I thought, I don't know what I do
notes?
with it. Oh, I have it. Here it is. I have it. And so, yeah, kids are writing notes. I thought they'd text. This is a real old school.
It's even folded up.
Yeah, a fancy fold, old school
That's cool.
note. And I got through the first sentence, and it was somebody saying, "I'm not sure we can be friends anymore because of," it has a boy's name. And I cannot wait to get to the bottom of this.
That's juicy. That's good stuff.
But that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Like, it's the little stories behind the scenes and being a part of someone's life. And I know when I did the admin thing, for me, I was still around kids, but I missed the metamorphosis of the change, of seeing a kid come through the classroom on day one and watching them on 185 whatever days later. It's just a whole different person.
See, and I get them for a semester. My course is 1 semester. So they come in shy, timid. They know they have to speak out loud. They know they have to speak in front of the class. And by the end of the semester, I can't get them to sit down, to shut up, to stop talking. I got this. But that is the metamorphosis. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Is that growth.
Yeah. Did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher?
Always. My earliest memories are in my bedroom teaching school. My closet door was a chalkboard. And my cousin who used to work here, she loved to come in the class and tell the students that she always had to be the student. She was always a student. I was always the teacher. If I let her or my brother be a teacher, then I was the principal.
Someone's in charge.
Yeah. I mean, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, all those ages. We played school all the time. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah. It's like, it's interesting how so many teachers have always known it. I don't think it happens in other professions. If it does, it's kind of in a service industry, whether it's a law enforcement. I just knew I always wanted to be a police officer. I knew I always wanted to be a fireman. I knew I always wanted to be a nurse. I don't think in the other types of professions that they get the call that early, like this is their passion, that's what they want to do. And that's the beautiful thing about teaching.
No one in my family were teachers.
Really?
So, yeah, I was the first one on my dad's side and my mom's side.
Yeah.
So they're mostly in the medical field or other professional careers, but it's just, one set of grandparents said I wasted my parents' money by going to A&M
Oh my gosh.
just to be a teacher. But I was like, it's a huge responsibility.
It's the most honorable profession on the planet. Really, I mean, the leaders of tomorrow are sitting in our classrooms today.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's a scary
The
thought.
one profession that teaches the rest of the professions. Like, wrap your head around that.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's scary.
So the kids come through your classroom door, and tell us what, because you teach some interesting subjects. Tell us what you teach.
I teach professional communication. It's the old school public speaking or speech communication. It changed several times. It's been communication applications. Now it's professional communication. So the state has incorporated technology with public speaking, written and verbal communication. And it's a semester course. There's leadership is involved, career investigations is involved, business model, presentations, of course, and just your basic communication skills that are necessary for life.
Yeah.
So I do that, and I sponsor the majority of the speaking events for UIL. So I have a debate class.
Right. It's a full schedule.
It's fun.
And the kids come through the door, and they have you for a semester. At the end of that semester, as the kids are walking out of the door, and they're going to go on with the rest of their classes, and they graduate, go on with their lives, and they go to college, and years later, they're sitting at the reunion. 20 years later, they're at the Orangefield High School reunion. They're sitting down here at the Marriott, because there's going to be,
we've grown.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
And they're sitting at the Marriott and down in downtown Orangefield under the skyscrapers around them. And when those kids, because what they do at the reunion, they talk about their teachers.
Right. True.
And they're going to talk about you. What is the lesson you hope that they take away that they're going to be talking about at the reunion in 10, 20, 30, 40 years? What is that?
I was going to say fussing. I'm always fussing about getting them ready for the real world.
Yeah.
Real world. So I would hope that they would remember the fun that we had, because we try to have fun in here. It's a full schedule, but it's also, I'm able to incorporate a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they remember about what's over there on the wall, TBYA, think before you act.
TBYA. I thought you had a spelling problem. So
TBYA, think before you act. I yell that on Fridays as they're running out.
yeah.
Think before you act. I'll hope that they'll remember the relationships that were built in the class, because we spend about 5 or 6 weeks in a group. They spend the last 5 or 6 weeks of the semester doing a group project. Yeah. So they build relationships. We do some stress relaxation, so I hope they'll remember those days, because life gets crazy. And not one has been allowed to ever sign. They've never given anybody permission to sign the podium.
Right.
But they all just love to sneak and sign it. Yeah, it's signed so many times now. And I hope they remember, like, just crazy stuff. Yesterday we did the hokey pokey.
Of course. Yeah.
But there's an essay by Dr. Pat Swab. She wrote it in 2000. It's how the hokey pokey applies to life. So that's the introduction to our listening unit. So I hope they remember fun, crazy stuff that we do like that.
I think for your class, probably the fun and the silliness. From my experience, if I was going to ask a student to present in front of their peers, like you got to get the silly. That we intentionally do the silly stuff. That way, we've gone through the vulnerable issue, and we've intentionally embarrassed ourselves already. That way when we accidentally do it later, it's not such a big deal. I've already felt this before. Yeah. And so tell me some of the other things you do in your classroom, because here's what I know the public speaking now that has moved above root canal in what people want to avoid.
That's what I tell them on the first day.
Yeah.
This is at one point, and I'm not sure if it is most recent statistics, but at one point it was the number one fear of American adults.
I think it was that it fell down and root canal became the top, and now they switched.
I tell them spiders, snakes, death,
Yeah.
roller coasters, public speaking is right there. The first day they come in, I'm standing at the door and I have a bucket of topics, and everybody has to pick a topic. Most of them know now, but when I first started doing this, they didn't really know what was going on. A copy of that topic, there's also a topic taped on every desk. So they have to, and it's silly stuff. If you could be any animal, what would you be and why? If you could be any shoe, explain what you would be. If you had a conversation with the president, what would you talk about? So that's their assigned seat, and they don't realize it, but they get the topic, they go find their seat, and then they have a minute to talk on that topic, which most of them don't talk for a minute, but it breaks the ice right then and right there. And we do that at the end of the class if there's extra time. We have impromptu. I'll tell them to get under the projector, get in the hot seat, stand in the hot seat, and then it's something stupid. If you could be any bird that flies, what would you be? One of the things that I incorporated after you or somebody came, but it's something that definitely was incorporated after a staff development after school, is red ball. They stand in a circle. We have a red ball. It's actually a red stress ball from our state representative, and we throw out a topic. We toss the ball. They can't say any of the words that are forbidden. Okay, so, and they have to just think on their feet, and if they drop it or they say one of those words, they're out.
Got it.
They love red ball. You would think it was like, I don't know, they love it.
I love that, but that whole idea of preparing kids, like we were talking about earlier, for a lot of people, their first time to have a direct interaction with communication, where they're trying to influence someone else or change them, is in a job interview. And to have that your first time, that never goes well. But when they have a class in high school, that they do it repeatedly, and they have the stress ball, and they're playing games, and doing impromptu, that's awesome because it gets all that out of the way. So when they show up for the interview or they go to college or whatever's next in their life, they've been through all the awkward moments first.
Nowadays with job interviews, they're asking silly questions like, what's your go-to snack at the gas station? Or if you could be a color. And so those questions were catching people off guard when they started throwing those in job interviews. Well, if we practice impromptu speaking and stupid little topics like that, then that'll help them. We also do resumes, and I have them put in their phone, July 1st, Apply Texas. We look at Apply Texas. We look at I think I'm blessed. I think I teach the most awesome course because I'm able to incorporate those life skills that everybody else doesn't have time to do because they're trying to get them to pass those tests that are required by the state. So they've got resumes when they leave my class. They've got some job skills. And Ms. Van Pelt and I went to a CTE conference several years ago. And in every course, every breakout session, the guest speakers or the presenters spoke about how our students are going to have to sell themselves. They're going to be selling themselves. They're going to sell themselves with portfolios, with interviews, with resumes. And the number one skill in every one of those breakout sessions was communication. But the state of Texas doesn't require it anymore. But there's a list of a long list of what has to be met for the communication skills. But we are blessed to still offer this course. Our students are blessed, I'm blessed, and I feel like our community's blessed. I had a young lady yesterday at Walmart. She's a greeter at Walmart, which I told her, I want to do that one day.
That's a dream job,
That's a dream job. And she's a very shy, demure, quiet, just very, very to herself student. And I was very shocked to see her as a greeter. And she said, your class helped me so much. Because I learned the communication skills, I learned the interpersonal skills to be able to say, thank you for shopping at Walmart, or welcome to our store, have a good day. And to hear her say it as I walked off to just random customers, I thought, I never would have dreamed that this young lady would be a greeter at Walmart.
Yeah.
So that to me
was huge.
Yeah.
I taught some of those classes, and for me, in a community class, the grading part was a challenge for me because they come in at such different levels in terms of just different types of people. And some kids are crazy alpha type A kids, and they're boisterous, and they, it's like the speech is over, your minute's done.
Right.
And other kids, it is the most torturous idea ever to stand before their peers and even say anything. So always a challenge for me, like how do I grade and how do I assess this kid who's been, communicating on that level ever since they're born to a kid is just there's so much turmoil within them, I've always struggled with that. You ever, is that challenging?
I grade them, like there's a rubric for every speech and every assignment that they have. And they also have a listening grade. They also have a self-evaluation. They evaluate themselves after the speech, before they see how I graded them. But if I've got a real shy kid or shy young adult, and versus a student that has been speaking, like you said, since age 3, I'm gonna grade each student based on what their ability is and what they can and cannot do and how far they've grown.
I think it's a conversation between, as educators, we talk about the difference between grading equally and grading fairly.
Right.
And for me, that's just fair.
Yeah.
It's a monumental moment just for a kid to get a 60-second speech out who's never done it before, and just they're crying at night, they can't sleep.
But that's one of the metamorphoses that is so fascinating to watch, is those that you would assume would not be your competent communicators, which is what we're all striving to be, and then they get up and they kill it the first time, and then you're like, where did that come from? And and then you have the one that is the A+ student in every other class that is excelling, and they get in here and it's like, I can't do this, because it's not like studying and taking a test. That is their strength. So that's another benefit of this class, is it gives students areas to shine where they may not in other classrooms.
Sure.
Now, they're supposed to talk every night, practice speaking. That's their homework every night, is to talk, but they don't. They're doing this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what we try to do also at the end of the class period is an interpersonal communication, IPC. And I tell them it's not science, but my grandmother said several years ago that nobody talks anymore. Everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
Even when we'd all go to her house, everybody's sitting on the couch just doing their own thing. So at the end of the class periods, if we have extra time, I tell them, and I'll leave this note for the subs too, they need to learn that face-to-face communication. They need to learn that communicating with others. So they have IPC, interpersonal communication, and we try to do it on the 0 to 5 scale.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, if they get loud, they get loud. It's a communication class.
I was at a restaurant recently, and a group of teen boys came in. I was by myself, I was on the road, and it was at like Chili's or something like that, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm sitting next to these kids. It's 5 or 6 of them. Now I'll get into the booth, and they're all talking, and one of them, he goes, all right, friend time, and he gets the bread basket, and they're dumping out the bread, and they all put their phones.
That's awesome.
Every kid put their phone in the bread basket. Oh man, how awesome is that? Because usually they're just so disengaged while they're engaged.
Okay, well, you were looking for earphones?
Yes.
They're not allowed in here. They have to talk. They can't put those on. And we talk about the importance of intra-personal communication, where it's very important to communicate with oneself, but it's also important to communicate with each other. If you're all listening to earbuds on the bus, you're not even engaging in human interaction, So that's a big part of it. But we have the best kids, Al. I don't know if anybody's told you that.
Listen, it's not a secret, and it's not. I mean, I'm not even shy to admit it, because I go to school after school, state after state, and I tell people about the kids here. They're tremendous. Here's the level of how respectful they are. Not just that, and I'll give you the credit for this one too, but how just they engage in conversation. And I'm going down the hall, I say, hey man, what's up? And like they'll tell me, well actually.
You don't want to, they tell you too much.
But the other thing is cool is, like, as I engage with these kids at this school, they ask me, they return the question, like they know how the dialogue, and as a young adult, back and forth. It's fascinating how different it is in this district compared to others.
My cousin was a sub here for several years. He's recently been hired. This year he's on staff full time, but he subbed at the majority of the other county schools. And he said, hands down, our kids they open the door, take their hats off.
It's those little things.
Thank you. Yes, sir. No, sir.
What are we in the 60s? Was the 50s? What are we doing here?
It's
they
awesome.
come through, they take off the hat, yes or no. So they sit down, you stand up, they stand up. I move.
It's not perfect, and not everybody does it. And there's some knuckleheads.
For
who
sure,
have to thump the hat off, or say, get that hat off. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's the majority of the kids are. So I don't know if you heard this story, but my nephews, I have two nephews that go to another county school. One of them has been working since they were able to work on their one-act play. But last Thursday, the day of the contest, the district contest, he was actually in Beaumont in the doctor's office with some health problems. Mr. Chevalier tells us that our students, okay, different school, different crosstown rival, okay, asked for a magic marker or a whiteboard marker to be able to, I'm going to butcher this, but they ended up writing "Get Well Landon" on a whiteboard at the competition location, and took a picture and either tweeted it or sent it to him. Somehow it ended up on Twitter, but my brother was blown away.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't believe they're competing against each other, but they're all friends. But and I say that, but I don't know that other schools did that for him. You know. So our kids, even though they all go to church together, they play ball together, they sing together, they have an ethic of care that is like no other.
I'm telling you, it's this level of respect and compassion, and they're just great people. They're good people. They really are.
They are.
I'm gonna ask you a question. So I want you to think back when you were like 10 years ago when you were in junior high. And,
there you go. I like that. Keep talking.
Junior high, elementary school, and go and give me three teachers. Give me elementary, junior high, and high school. Three teachers that really made an impact on your life.
Elementary was, I had so many. I went to private school, so for junior high and elementary, and we had an older lady that was actually my mom's kindergarten teacher. She had taught all my mom's siblings. My mom was one of 7. She taught my dad and his siblings. She was my kindergarten teacher, Miss Richard.
You still remember your kindergarten? This is amazing.
Yeah, we were in the old white building down at St. Mary's, downtown Orange, and yeah, Miss Richard. And then junior high, I had so many in junior high. Miss Claybar, who was actually married to one of my mom's cousins, Miss Eason, Miss Matthews, Miss Mendoza was our 4th grade teacher. She left a huge impact. She was the old school marm. You know, she was just couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't leave the room. She wanted us right there with her.
Rules.
She had rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, the nuns we had. I mean, Sister Aquinas, Miss Brock. Yeah, I remember Miss Glindecker. I remember all of them.
Yeah.
And then high school, I had a geometry teacher whose son-in-law's across the hall, Miss Lumpkin, and Miss Stewart, hands down. She was my sociology teacher. She was hands down. Yeah, she health and sociology, and again, it was those fun classes.
Yep.
You know, and I do some of the things that she did. Here I'm doing them 30 years later.
Right.
It's cool.
Still works.
Still works.
Good teaching is good teaching in any decade.
She's the one that taught me about stress relaxation.
Yeah.
You can't, we've got to teach our youth how to unwind.
Yeah.
We teach them how to play and be members of sports. We teach them how to be members of groups, and we teach them how to compete, and hopefully we teach them how to study. But we do need to teach them how to stop, center themselves, and just get back to being themselves. And so we have that every now and again. We have stress relaxation. The other teachers laugh because they're like, oh, well, we can go in your class and
take
sleep.
a nap.
But guys and girls need to know how to just stop and breathe.
Yep.
And sometimes this is like $1 million for them to just come in and know that, hey, we're having stress relaxation today. It's going to be quiet music. We're going to go to our own private personal place and just block out the world.
Yep. It's powerful. There's so much stimulus now. Kids on the phone and the internet, just the volume of information coming into that noggin. Absolutely. One of my favorite things that I think speaks volumes is after the hurricane, so much work and effort and so much loss just in property and memories but when I show up here, no one even talks about it. It's like I'm looking at a school that's we got plywood walls and duct tape holding things together, waiting on FEMA and everybody else. Not one word. Just, here we go. This is what we got. Let's teach. The kids, let's go. Let's do class.
Do you see our libraries in the hall?
I saw your drill team props.
Yeah.
Dividing classes, library in the hall, offices in the hall. It is amazing.
But you know what we were told when we came back, right? Do you know? Did anyone tell you what Dr. Patterson said? He said some things that we weren't going to talk about. In other words, our focus was going to be on kids.
Yep.
And getting back to the business of taking care of our kids. And he said, we're going to love our kids. We're going to get them here. We're going to feed them. We're going to educate them. And we're going to love them. And I think that has been what has kind of held us all together.
Yeah.
Is that's what's most important, is loving the kids while they're here, with them while they're here.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to give homework for a while.
Yeah.
Because he said families are struggling.
Yeah.
We're gonna love them.
What home?
Right.
In what home will they do that work? That's a great question. Yeah. Powerful. Just great leadership, great teachers, great kids. That's why it's a great place.
It is.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
That's professional right there.
I like that.
We were live, man. We're being broadcasted across the interwebs.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right. Oh, you know what I need to do?
What you
I
need?
heard my phone making noises earlier.
I know, I made sure mine was on. Or on airplane mode or whatever.
Airplane mode.
You got this fancy stuff.
Who do you think actually uses air? Like when they say turn it, like, really? This is going to take an airplane down? Come on.
I know, people don't, I turn mine off completely.
I
but
never
people
do. I'm working, man. All right, tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Trawhon.
Trawhon. That's not what I've been calling you.
I know, it's okay. Everybody call me everything else, it's fine.
Do you do a thing? So what I'm curious about is, do you, like at the beginning of the year, do you do a pronunciation of your name? Like a lesson?
No.
Because I would need one.
Well, that's because everybody hears, Cajun and they get it because the Boudreaux, they know how to pronounce.
Who's Boudreaux?
Chevalier. Well, a lot of our kids are Trawhon or
What? But you said Trawhon.
No, but that's another one. That's spelled different.
Trawhon and Trawhon are two different people.
One has a W, one has an H.
Oh. Well, all right then.
There's all kind of Cajun.
All right. I've learned lessons from Orangefield. All right.